Hey everybody, how's it? Good morning. Well, I'm going to try a brand new band. Never heard of the band before, hence never heard of the song before. The name of the band is lakor. I think with that little mark there after the B, it stands for me having to go. lakor. So the track is going to be The Smoke of Many Fires. I want to thank you guys for a lot of the comments that I left from the video yesterday on Mudvayne when I talked about really thinking of doing new bands. Now I know I still have a lot of bands to go through here on this channel that are new. There's no two ways about that, even though I'm cycling through a lot of ones I've done already this week. And rest assured I'm still going to get the new bands like this one here. But I think based on the comments and stuff, I think I'm gonna figure out a way to do this. It's gonna probably be, I'm gonna be like releasing the Kraken when it comes to probably all the suggestions stuff. I've got to figure out a way to do this through a portal or a website. But I'm talking about bands that indie labels maybe only have a couple thousand views on videos. Not even videos, as a matter of fact. I might just do it off of Spotify. I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. But it's a growing idea. I want to thank you guys for your thoughts and your comments on that. Anyhow, so let's do this. lakor, The Smoke of Many Fires. Thank you for your support. If there's any ads or, when I do these videos, it doesn't monetize the channel. So if you want to support me, you can buy me a cup of coffee. The link will be down below. The link for lakor, Spotify, and merch will also be down below. Okay, so let's do this. The Smoke of Many Fires by lakor. All right. All right, a change obviously is about to come up, but I just got to rinse on the fact that the rhythmical pattern and the arrangement of the guitar at the beginning kind of threw me off on my time because I was getting locked into that pattern. And when I'm trying to, what's the line? When I'm trying to find the one, where's that downbeat? Usually the drums, somewhere along the drums, I'll be able to peg it sometimes with instrumentation, but here I completely failed. I loved that opening pattern, and then when the drums came in and just cleared it all up for me, I really sunk into it. And also I like the syncopated use of the snare on this. Okay, so this isn't any trick meter that's going on here, but the drummer has just incredible powers to shift moods and energies of any track, let alone you had this really super cool opening riff arrangement rhythmically with like ambient sound in the background. It sounded like they're not shy of using a synth or two or a mod or something in production. And I don't know, since I've never heard of the band, I don't know if they actually have a keyboard player, but it sounds like they probably would. So I like the dark, heavy ambience that's behind it all with what's ever happening in the back. But when the drum came in, going back into that really quick, is like any instrument, changing up rhythms, I mean arrangements and stuff. That's what music is, in song. But when it comes to the drums, the impact they have by doing things such as that syncopated snare. So it wasn't on the straight, it wasn't on the square, 2 and 4 or anything like that. He had it moving around and stuff, and that kind of lunges and lurches you. And so the one thing that was at least keeping me tight in there, the hi-hat was my indicator, and the kick, obviously, you know, I found the one, but that snare really kind of kept me going. And through this whole section, I love that ambient. And especially that last section that was just happening here, the last maybe 6 to 8 seconds of it, like we can feel that build coming. And inherently, as music listeners, especially if you're a musician, even if you're a musician, you played guitar for 2 weeks, it doesn't matter. You have a feeling inside when you could tell there's going to be some kind of change. It has to do with the nature of the arrangement. Is it getting louder, or you feel it coming in? It's, for me as a media composer, that is my life, is affecting you that way, freaking you out, you know, in a movie scene or something like that, bringing that music up and around. So let's keep going. Okay, so two obvious things for me that happened. Obviously, there was a time change there, which caught me off guard. I was just talking about, oh, well, the song doesn't, I haven't heard any time change yet. And I should know, the song is almost 10 minutes. There's going to be a bunch of stuff probably coming at me that's going to surprise me. I love where the vocal performance mix is set in this. I think, you know, since I'm new at the growling aspect, you know, just on this journey with this channel now, what, 7, 8 months now? You know, and it started all with Ginger, and then, of course, listening to all the bands you guys suggested, how many, you know, components of musicians, vocalists, growling's a big part of. But for me, I think there's times where I've been a little pushed back from a track or something. You know, if that performance is too upfront in your face in the mix, it's just a personal preference. I'm not throwing down shade against any, you know, musician or anything. But sometimes, you know, based on the kind of mix, you can be affected that way. If something's too hot, it can push you back, and you may go, I'm not too sure about that. I love not only the performance and the tone of the growling, but I love where he sat in the mix. Now, we get into that fast, straight pace, squared off time. Two things that are happening there that I really dig. It's the straightforward bass doing the 16th, you know, following the chord changes with the 16th, just keeping it really straight. Because the second thing that I wanted to pull out was the fact that there is a melodic line that the guitar is playing. You know, I think it's just like some eighth notes that are going there, and they're pulled back in the mix. But I think that's really important in tracks of this nature. This seems more theater of the mind instead of a 3.5, 4 minute track that's an in and out kind of composition, where they give you where you're getting these different dynamics delivered to you, and the fact that, you know, growling as a whole doesn't necessarily have any definable tone to it, like a note. Otherwise, it would just sound like I'm going to talk like this the whole time, all the way through, and it doesn't mean it's. Maybe I haven't heard a band that does that yet, but by virtue of that, it leaves space open for other arrangements that could be placed in there, and you're not battling vocal, you know, melodies by having counter melodies happening there. Happens all the time, but where is it placed in the mix? And I really dug that. So let's go ahead and move forward. Yada yada. All right.
When he could not
sorry, I got to stop there. You saw me, I was about to lean in for a stop, and then that acoustic guitar came in. I'm going to talk about that for a second. I love, there's a section that after I started, that was this giant wall of sound. Kind of remind me of a little bit of the Devin Townsend style wall of sound. I'm not saying one did the other before the other, but just boom wall of sound. And that richness comes, apparently what it sounds like to me is that not all the guitars, all keyboards are in, or all pads and heavy rich pads are in behind it, or harsh keyboard sounds are running up behind it. I love the change of guitar tone and the playing pattern when it got really clean. They established chord, and what they did is they walked down the bass line of it, but they kept the upper part of the chord structure kind of the same, but walked it down. And then it sounded like there was this really super cool melodic chord phrasing turnaround with the bass and the guitar. I'd have to go back and listen to it. That's the hard thing about doing first time listens and stuff, when you get especially songs like this that are really taking you through journeys. For me, it's hard because if I'm doing this first time, there's probably 10 things I could stop and say about something, but going back and doing that's just not my jam. I kind of been doing that lately on Patreon. People choose songs and I'll sit there and go, okay, let's do lyrics and this. But that's that's for those who just want to hear that long-winded stuff. Anyhow, and then the guitar, oh my God, the acoustic guitar section. Man, was that cool. And man, did they reset your whole energy and vibe in that. But the whole thing is ambient. I love the reverb that was on the acoustic guitar to keep that feeling in there, that large kind of ethereal, theatrical kind of vibe to it. And that caught me completely off guard. But let me continue on. Stand by. This whole section is mind-numbing. It's mind-numbing because the decision for me that whoever made it, producers and everybody, to take this phrasing, this section here, and the synth, sounds like a synth to me. That's when you saw me going, oh, that sounded kind of like a, excuse me. But, I'm listening to that, and they structured that so it was kind of like the root was staying, or the bottom was staying, the bass line was staying in one note. And then repeating that phrase, then they move the bass line. Just by moving the bass line, just how wonderfully that just changed the energy in it. Okay, but what they just did, you probably saw my spine crack and get just straightened out. It's that weird, super dissonant note choice that they dropped into, still keeping it. What seems like they still kept the original chord structure, but they pulled down and dropped like a semitone or something in there that just straightened out my spine, and it really caught me off guard, and I thought that was unreal. That is a journey, man. That is like, these guys have taken me so far on a journey, and I still got, another 5 minutes, it looks like, or maybe 4 minutes left on this. This is incredible, and this is complicated. This is complex composition. You don't just sit there and say, hey, let's write a song. It'll go like this. I don't know what the work progress is and how they do what they do and create what they create. whether they all sit around in a room and it's really still pencil to paper, or if it's whatever it is. But this isn't your basic composition where you're multiple repeating of phrases into a hook 3 times before 4 minutes kind of a thing. This is a big journey here. So, but I love the fact that this decision at this point, that synth has been bumped up now. It's no longer just this heavy ambient support behind it. Now it's up in your face with that, and it really adds a lot of color to it, because once the guitar comes in, it's different. It's not like the synth is trying to sound gritty like the guitar. It has its own life and its own vibration in the spectrum. But once the guitar comes in, the colors, the sonic colors, blend perfectly. Okay, here we go. I know there's only about 45 seconds left here, but that was a classic example of layered composition. I mean, when they started off, it's just the piano and that acoustic guitar, and they pumped that acoustic guitar really hot, in comparison to the rest of the instruments during the complete, power of the mix and stuff like that. And so when it all airs out and it's just the piano and that acoustic guitar, it completely readjusted the energy in the song. Obviously, it brought you back into a very comfortable place. Excuse me. And throughout the song, they've given us these little passages and stuff that are always indicating that, okay, don't settle in and think that we're just grooving at this rhythm all the way through. But as that composition moved forward in that passage we just listened to, probably every 8 bars, something new changed and built and built. I love the way the bass came in, because it got us that piano and acoustic guitar sound. Even though the piano has a bottom end to it, the tonal emphasis of the instrument is not the bass, right? Like a bass. So when the bass came in with the arrangement, it just went poof. It was like a little soul burst, because like I always say, the bass owns a part of us in the tonal spectrum. And if you're into how music vibrates and the energies in our neurons, I mean in our bodies and stuff. I mean, that's why all the kids with the big boom, 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 it does that whole thing. It's because that's their thing. And they're probably pretty baked. But as these arrangements built, then the drums came in using the toms with its arrangement, built, kept going. Then when the power came in, it's the same chords, but now we've got the power of the guitar and the vocals and everything are all in it. And it's really unique to listen to the transition between the piano and the acoustic guitar section of that arrangement. Then when the power comes in, that gets whoop, dropped down. Now, is it dropped down because it's a manual pull down on the faders, or is it dropped down by virtue of the power of the rest of the instruments kicking in, and it kind of forces by tone it to drop? That's something for the engineer. In here, it tells, I feel like it was like, okay, we're coming into the section and the power's coming in, pull that back, so now the vocals and the guitar and everything else can power up with the full kit. So anyhow, excuse me. By the way, people always think that I've got smoker's cough. I don't. Trust me. It's just fucking allergies and stuff. It sucks. Okay, here we go. Well, had I known how this was going to end, I would have let it go on all the way through because it's a great fade. Something I want to bring out to you about this end as well is the two melodic arrangements that are happening left and right. So on the right-hand side, the synth is holding kind of a pattern. It has a little bit of a delay on it, but once again, it's a very own unique tone. It's happening here, kind of. And then, of course, the guitar melodic arrangement on the left. These are these multiple little hooks that keep us in there. And as well as the rhythm, the way the drums were arranged, the bottom end, the world of the boom, drums, bass player. This was a great journey. A lot of times when I click on bands and, sometimes I see tracks that are as long as this, I'm like, oh, what am I in for? I know that when I'm getting into tracks that are beyond 5-6 minutes, they go into 8, 9, 10, 12 minutes and stuff like that, I know it's going to be much bigger than just repeating a pattern all the way through. And, but I want to thank you guys for hanging in there with this on me, because, when I do these first listens, I do the best that I can, and sometimes I get overexcited by one or two things, and I go back when I render this out and I post it and I listen to it again, I go, wow, how did I not pull this, and stuff. So, anyhow, thanks for hanging out. For those of you who want to support me in the channel, you want to buy me a cup of coffee, super cool beans, I got a Patreon as well, where I go into really deep dissects. I'm going to start with lyrics coming up soon and all kinds of other things. The links for Bet, Lakor, Spotify, and merch will also be down below. So thank you all for your suggestions. Keep dropping them there in the comments, and I'm reading. I'm going through them all. You should see my list. Oof. Okay, guys, take care. Aloha. All right. All right.